Welcome back. I'm over in the butcher's shop. As you can see, I've just finished the final clean because this is where all the action's been for the last couple of days. It's a bit of a milestone for Stoney Creek Farm this last couple of weeks. It's the first time that we processed a whole cow ourselves, although I did get some help. I had a butcher come in and do the slaughtering at the start, and then he came back and broke down all the carcass down to the primal cuts. And then we handled it from there. I need to see it a few times before I can do it myself. We didn't put any of the slaughtering or the cutting up of meat in this video. I understand a lot of people don't like that sort of thing, and I understand. It is confronting, and I watched quite a few videos on how to do those sort of things. So there's tons of them on YouTube if you want to find them. But we did a great job. We ended up with, I think I say in the video, we had 261 kilos of beef on the hook, and we basically boned it all out. And not only did we get lots of cuts of meat that we shared with a few families as well, and we've now got a full freezer, which will do us for quite a while for beef. But we also rendered all the fat into tallow and made a lot of bone broth. So most of this video is about those processes and what we got in the end, and the process of rendering down all the tallow and making bone broth. The house smells a bit beefy at the moment, as you can understand, because we've had crock pots and Instapots and all sorts of things happening in the house over the last couple of days. And from that tallow, that's a lot of our cooking oil comes from that, and Tan will make some soap and some skincare products, which are brilliant, made from tallow, full of vitamins and minerals and essential oils. So really good product. So I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next time. I've just given our butcher shop a good clean and disinfect, because tomorrow I've got a couple of guys coming out. One's a butcher, and he's going to show us how to break down this big boy. So this is one of our burger boys that we processed 2 weeks ago, and this is going to be chopped up. There's about 260 kilograms on the hook there, so it wasn't a huge boy, but he's a good size. So that's tomorrow's job. Tomorrow morning we'll get that underway and see if we can get that finished. But at least the butcher shop is all neat and clean and disinfected and ready to go. It was a big day in the butcher shop yesterday, and we processed and cut up and packaged our first burger boy that we processed, and we ended up with double what we've got here. I've already shared out half of the beast with a couple of people, and we ended up with about close to 45 kilograms of mince, and then all the cuts here that are all packaged up. I also do a mince grind of pet mince, and our dog gets that, and along with the chickens. And this is all the fat that I've put through the mincer, and Tanya is processing that into tallow at the moment, and that'll take us a little while to do. And I've also chopped up a few marrow and soup bones that we'll use as well. So thank you Burger Boy. We also did around about 15 kilos of sausages that are hanging in the cool room, and there's the rest of the bones, but I'll bury those. I don't need all the bones that came off of it. There's only so much you can store, but I'll put all of this back in the cool room and start taking it over and putting it in the freezer.
When you process beef or pig, you have the opportunity, if you do it on farm, to collect the fat. So pig's fat is lard once rendered, and beef fat once rendered is called tallow. And it's a great fat that you can use for cooking. You can actually make soap out of it. You can make skincare products of it. But what you need to do is render it. So I'll show you how we render our fat from animals. And this is my slow cooker. It's a very old slow cooker, but that's the best way we find to render the fat. This is the tallow, or the fat from the beef. We've got probably 5 times this in a big bucket. So I'm going to start the process today. Robert minced it all yesterday, so put it through the grinder so that it's small and it renders down better. It's just been in the fridge waiting, so I've just popped it on low, but I will crank it up to high for a few hours. And basically we want to get that till it's all melted, and you'll end up with lots of finings or crackle left on top, which will get rid of that, and eventually we'll get it nice and clear and into jars. So I'll show you how it looks once it's gone through its render process. So we're 1 hour into having the beef fat on slow cook, and it's starting to render down. So I'll show you what it looks like in another couple of hours. Time to find some jars. So we're just on 3 hours now that the fat has been rendering down, and you can see it's bubbling now. So I've just turned it down to low. And it's time. I'm going to start taking off the top stuff there. It's looking good, but it's amazing how much it drops, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to take off the top bit. I've got my little jar that I've had in the oven, and so it's nice and clean, and a bit of chucks of cloth just to pick up anything that doesn't need to be in there. And hopefully it should be nice and clear. Looks good. Doesn't smell nearly as much as when you're doing the lard actually, but maybe that's because I like the smell of beef more than I do pork. Just got to be careful not to overflow it, Tanya. Alright, so I'll fill up another perhaps big jar, and we'll see how much we get out of this first rendering. I'll show you once all the jars are done. So we ended up getting 3 jars, a big, a medium and a small, and this is what's left. We've still got some more in there that I can get out, but I'll need Robert to help me. But this is all the, I guess it's meaty stuff that you've rendered out that will eventually go to the chickens so they'll enjoy. And we'll probably have to do this about 5 more times, I'm thinking. But that didn't take too long at all. 3 hours, and we've got some rendered tallow. While we've got a lot of fresh beef fat, I'm going to make some individual 200 gram packets, and I'll vac pack them of the fat for chicken sausages, because chicken often is fairly lean, and to make some good sausages you actually need a bit of fat. So I'm going to keep some of this beef fat so I can mix it in with the next chicken sausages. So I'll pop these in the backpack. I'll show you what they look like. Pop it in the backpack, start it, it's a bit noisy. So that's the 3rd bag finished. I didn't think you wanted to hear the noisy backpack. Takes about 30 seconds. But there we are, all nicely done. This machine is so fantastic. We bought it, and it's not cheap, but when you're processing lots of stuff, it's worth its weight. So 3 little bags, 200 grams of some beef fat. The key is labelling, because once it's in the freezer, sometimes you forget what you've done and what is what. So key is labelling.
One of the beauties about processing your own meat is you know where all your produce comes from. And our animals are only grass fed and they're well looked after. But making the bone broth, I've used up all the big marrow bones, which are the leg bones, which I ran through the bandsaw and cut them up so that the marrow can be released and there's a lot more surface area to the bones. But this is mostly rib bones now that I'm putting in, and I've already put in an onion or 1.5 onions, some garlic. Now I'm just placing these bones in, and then I've got even the rib bones. There's lots of marrow in there, lots of minerals to come out, vitamins. I've got another 2 bags of bones, but I don't know how much we're going to do. But then I also put in celery and the leaves as well, some carrot, I might have to take out a bone, and a little bit of rosemary, and you just basically plonk it all in there and add water to bring, and then let the Instapot do its work. And it only takes about an hour, and then we let it cool down for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then decant it out and then freeze it. And then this is what's left after we've run it through the pot. And I'll go and, it's very runny, of course, when it's hot. But once you put that in the fridge, there you get a layer of fat that forms on the surface. And I actually put that back in the tallow, and we then keep all the bone broth. You can drink it and use it as the base for all your stews and casseroles, soups, and it's just very nutritious and delicious.
So this is the end of the second lot of bone broth that we did. I'll show you what it looks like because it's interesting to see, and it just looks quite delicious there. So what we'll do is we'll strain that, we'll put that in the fridge overnight, and it goes very gelatinous. And then this morning, this was the beef broth that we made yesterday. So we've popped those into individual bags, 1.5 cups or cups, and vac pack them so that I can just pull those out from the freezer and freeze them, and pop that in a soup or a stew, and fantastic and easy. And then you end up with lots of bones. The carrots and bits and pieces go to the chickens. So we've probably got one more lot of bone broth. I think we're going to do 3 or 4. It's busy. It's a busy time in the kitchen when you're processing, trying to use everything you can to the best of our ability, and so it's a bit messy. But we're pretty excited about this bone broth.
The other exciting thing that we've been doing with the beef we processed is making biltong, and I've only just got a little air dryer, and this is a strip of silverside that I've used and coated it and marinated it, and now it's drying, and it's looking really yummy. I'm looking forward to that. It's been running for 10 hours already, and some of the thinner strips are quite firm, and some of the fatter strips still need a bit of time. That one there's probably done. And that one's still got a bit of give in it. But I'll give that a little bit longer and then see what that ends up like. But I'm looking forward to trying biltong. This is about 1/3 of the biltong that I've had going in the air dryer. So these are delicious little treats, and I'll package some of these up in the vac pack and put them in the freezer and pull them out when we need them. But I'll probably get 3 times that by the time I'm finished. So that'll be great. You don't get to see this side very often when you watch people process animals, and part of this is getting rid of all the waste. So I've had to dig 2 big holes to take all the excess bones. I can't make bone broth from everything, and nor do I want all of that material, but It took 2 really big holes done with the post driver, a post hole auger, to get rid of all the offal, and now getting rid of the bones. It's taken another 2 holes, which one here and the one over near the rock pile over there, and under just about all of my trees there is offal or waste buried under a tree, and then I plant a tree on top. So I let this decompose for, I don't know, 6 months, and then I'll plant a tree on top. And not only does the Burger Boy give us nutrient dense food, but also our ground. The last thing I need to do with the offal holes is cover them with a pallet, and that'll stop any foxes from digging them up. This pallet here was from when we had our fox attack on our chicken coops, and we lost 13 chickens, and I placed them in 2 holes. There's one over there and one here. And I didn't put a pallet on them, and the bloody foxes came back and dug them out again. So this will stop them from digging them up. And they only need to stay there for about a month or 2, and then I can pull them off and plant a tree. And now these are our olive trees. This tree here we planted when we came, and that was tiny when we first came. And the other 3 trees that are here, they were here when we arrived, and they've only just started to come away now, since we've been looking after the ground around them and fertilizing them and watering them on a regular basis. This one here was doing really poorly, but that's another video on our olive trees. So I want to eventually grow this whole bank out in olive trees, and we've planted lots of natives down along the embankment there that runs down to the dam, and we'll see what they look like in a couple of years.